threat of global catastrophe has never been greater. The chain of events that could unravel our society could come from anywhere and without warning. Imagine a world without government, food, water, or power. I'm Rudy Reyes. I've served 7 years as a recon Marine. I fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've been trained to survive extreme conditions. I'm going to show you how to survive after Armageddon. Tragic events like Katrina and 9/11 show us that all the things we take for granted can be destroyed with terrifying speed. Homeland Security tells us to prepare for 72 hours after a major disaster. But what happens if there is no Homeland Security? No law, no one to help you. If you survived a catastrophic disaster, you would probably emerge into a very different world.
Everything will have changed, and I mean everything. The people you might meet, where you get food, water, how you make shelter, they either won't exist, or they can't be trusted. But the resources you will need to survive are out there, and I'll show you how to find them.
The first place I'm going to head to is the nearest city. Even after a major disaster, survival basics can be found there in the most surprising places. Our mission is to locate them. When you're in the open, move quickly. If there are other survivors, they could be a threat. Keep off the main highways and stick to less traveled routes, like rail lines.
When society breaks down, people will be desperate, they'll be hungry, they'll be disoriented. If they see you, they'll want to fight you for what you got. So you've got to blend, you've got to hide, deceive, camouflage your movements, in and out of the city. So if you do run into somebody, you run into them on your terms.
After a major disaster, traveling will be much tougher and potentially dangerous. Freeways could be jammed with abandoned cars, trains and airports inoperable, rivers contaminated, and bridges and tunnels blocked.
If civilization breaks down and martial law is put into place, bridges will be raised or blocked to limit people's movement. We can't swim the river. Treatment plants, sewage plants, they're going to be shut down. There could be all kinds of caustic chemicals and poisons in there. Not a good idea. So you've got to figure another way around.
Try not to let obstacles like this stop you. There's always a way to overcome them. I know it looks crazy, but with proper procedure, it can be done. Using an old tire iron I found, I'm going to improvise a grappling hook. With the rope I've got in my pack, I'm going to make a simple ladder to climb up onto the other side.
All right, we're going to have to make some handholds and some footholds. It's a butterfly knot.
The butterfly knots will act as a rope ladder and let me climb up once I've swung out.
Great handhold, great foothold, equal tension, both up and down, very secure.
This tire iron will make an ideal grappling hook.
Twist.
Tire irons and crowbars like this will be easy to find, and they have 1,000 uses. They easily earn their weight in my pack.
All right, here we go. All right, you're looking for a really good anchor point. This looks like a great anchor point, not too far away. We're going to try to get it in there, give it a tug. If we've got some positive purchase with this grappling hook, we're good to go. That feels positive. You got to have confidence in your abilities.
The rope would be too thin to climb without butterfly knot handholds. Keep focused where your hands and feet are placed and think about your next move. Don't ever let your concentration falter. It's a long way down to the river. We're really exposed up here. You need to make your way off to this danger area as
fast as you can. Night's coming in fast. You need to make shelter. These broke down buildings, they look scary. But the light's fading. You need to get some cover, concealment, some shelter. This flashlight with fresh batteries, it's going to save your life. Keeping it going, however, that's going to be a challenge. Every time you move into a new area, you do a security sweep. You don't know who's been here, you don't know who still may be here. You carry your flashlight just like so you can use it as a weapon if somebody does pop out around a corner with a bad attitude. Steel wool. This is really good for fire making. It makes excellent tinder. If you find some, make sure you stow it away. It really comes in handy.
What used to be junk could now save your life. Now I'm looking for the best place to stay, and I'm thinking tactically. The second floor is good. It's high enough to hear anyone coming and low enough to jump if you need to make a hasty exit.
Remember to cover your tracks. All right, a few things to consider with the harbor site. You want a place that's secure and secluded. Also, you need to be able to fight and defend yourself from this position, and you need an escape. If you've got to make a hasty retreat, it's got to be something that you can get to and get out fast. It's not the Hilton, but it's going to do good for us.
Now it's time to build a fire, and I'm going to use the steel wool I found to start it.
Let's fray it up a bit. There we go. Because as these little baby wires get pulled out from the big mass, they're going to catch a lot easier. And now here's the trick. All right, you're going to take this power source, this battery, 9-volt, and you're going to put it to this steel wool. Make sure you don't stow these supplies together, because it'll go up. Just like this.
This is known as joule heating. The fine filaments of the steel wool glow red hot when they come into contact with an electrical power source like a battery. Great for starting fires.
Get some kindling. Now she's starting to go. All right, so I'm covering up my light so that from the outside, people are not going to be able to see.
The final stage is to cover the top of the fire with damp cardboard, which should soak up most of the smoke.
There we go. From a couple paces away, people are not going to see the glow of a fire. And this is something that you're going to build up so you can keep yourself hidden and you can keep yourself safe.
Always assume you're under observation. Try not to retrace your steps or use the same entrance you came in. In this building, and in many others, there is a way out you've probably never considered. But in an emergency, it could save your life.
Great, this is exactly what we're looking for. Now, keep in mind, without power, the elevator is going to be a lot tougher to open on this side than on the other side. But normally there's some kind of catch. They're designed so that if there's an emergency, people can escape them. Let's give it a go.
I'm leaving the outskirts and moving towards the city center with one main goal: finding a place that could become mining base. But before I go, here's a great way to leave a building: through the elevator shaft. In an emergency, this trick could get you out without being spotted.
These elevator shafts, they're one of the strongest constructed elements in a building. This is what you're going to use to get down. This makes a very stealthy way in or out of a building. Let's do this.
This looks crazy, but the technique to get down is easier than you think. There's a gap of about a foot. Just reach out with both hands and commit.
your feet are pressing tight against the cable as well. This will give your arms a break.
To give you an idea of how strong the cables are, a typical freight elevator like this one carries about 8,000 pounds. Each of these 4 cables can hold that load alone. I'm moving towards downtown. That should give us the best chance to find a more secure base. But since the city has a residential district along the way, I want to check it out. As disaster unfolds, residential neighborhoods like this could become conflict areas. Many people's natural instinct is to leave, take as many of their belongings as they can, and head for the roads. It's called the flight response. Looters then fill the vacuum. But a place like this could still offer rich pickings. Look out for houses with windows or doors intact, or even better, still locked.
I know it's totally counterintuitive that we're going to break this door in, but this is not somebody's home anymore. This is your survival. This is your way to your next mission. There's some good tools, resources, maybe food that we could use in here. When you're making an entry, it's about speed, surprise, violence of action. You need to be ready for anything, and I mean anything that's on the other side of this door. Let's do this. You see this? Forced entry. I don't know if that was a month ago, a week ago. It could have been 5 minutes ago. So you got to think about things like that. You got to be looking for signs of movement, signs of people. People could be our friend, they could also be our enemy. If things fall apart and civilization is in pieces, you can only rely on one person first, and that's you.
Basements are a great place to scavenge because that's where many families store their emergency supplies.
It smells damp in here. See all kinds of water damage, wood's rotten. Here we go. This is freaking treasure. This is sustainability. We used to say chow is continuous. It's good.
Cans of food aren't indestructible. Seals can break, air can get inside, introducing bacteria and diseases like botulism.
Oh, listen to this. You hear that? Rotten. Obviously, air has gotten in there, and this is a no-go. All right, let's throw this good stuff in our rucksack. Let's check out the garage. You look around here, this could easily be your uncle's garage. But when society breaks down, this is exactly what could happen. A garage that used to be filled with tools, filled with equipment, they're still here. Don't let all this junk take you away from that fact. Let's go find some. Oh, this is a real good piece of gear. Bicycle pump. Sterno. This can be fuel. This could be fire starting material. This has a lot of different uses. Seal's good. It's busted up, but we still got some good stuff inside of there. So this is going with us for sure.
So far I've found some food and equipment, but there's another need just as vital. Information. In a world with no power, internet, or cell phones, information could come from a place you'd never expect. And that's where I'm heading now.
Shh. Library. Libraries are full of information. Anything from mechanical and electronic to pharmaceutical first aid. And of course, maps. Maps of the city and the surrounding area are going to help you find more resources, find more supplies. Now, before the apocalypse, you probably did not have a library card. But after the apocalypse, this place, it'll be your best friend.
You'd expect that libraries would be an immediate target. But in New Orleans, one of the few resources not to be attacked during the crisis was the City Library Service. not one of the libraries across the district reported being looted. After Katrina, with internet and cell phones down, libraries became a life-saving service, providing information that couldn't be got anywhere else. To use them, think back to grade school when you probably learned the Dewey Decimal System.
912, Mike 32.
That's how books are cataloged, placed in a specific repeatable order that makes them easy to find. The first set of numbers refers to the category. Geography and mapping is in the 900s.
This is what we're looking for. After there's a global disaster, how you think about movement, how you think about getting around from point A to point B completely changes. You start considering stealth, sneaky, surreptitious. This is a sewer map. And this could save your life.
We're moving closer to downtown, on a mission to establish a secure home base. Going across open ground could be dangerous, but there's a subterranean route.
There's a highway running right into the city underneath our feet. It's called the sewer system.
The manhole covers can weigh upwards of 100 pounds, but there's a simple method for lifting them. You'll need a bit of cordage like this old shoelace and a short piece of metal thin enough to fit through the pick hole.
All right, this is a simple prusik. See the bite? This part that goes over and locks the rope down. It's also really easy to take off once we get this manhole off.
You'll need some extra leverage.
Like I said, these things are pretty heavy.
Sewers serve as drainage for the road network above ground and follow almost the exact same route. The map I found in the library can lead us safely downtown.
All right, out with the map. Our destination is 23rd and 7th. Here we are. We've got two major intersections and then a dogleg, and we'll be at our destination.
You can expect sewers will be a very different place from today. They'll no longer be in use, and with repeated flushing from storm drainage, they'll be much cleaner. You wouldn't want to set up home here, but it will make them into an effective underground highway.
This marker says that we're at a street intersection. You see this manhole up here. If I was about 15 feet tall, it'd be no problem, but this is 21st and 5th. According to our map, we are getting closer. '23rd and 7th. We're here.
After 9/11, many cities adopted new security measures. To block potential terrorist attacks, manhole covers were tagged so any attempts to tamper with them could be monitored. Some were even welded shut.
I don't see any markings. I'm going to give this one a shot.
To set up a home base, we're on our way to a place you'd never expect. A hospital. Not for medicine, for power. During a crisis, hospitals become the focus of intense hostility.
Places like hospitals will be on the front lines. Desperate people stop at absolutely nothing to get a hold of medicine. They'll ransack the hospitals. But what you'll be counting on is they're going to overlook a major resource that's staring at them right in the face. And that's the ability to make their own power.
Every hospital has a backup generator designed to work even when the entire power grid fails. Getting it started could be the key to survival.
And that's what you're going to do. You're going to find a way into that backup generator, and you're going to make a base here.
I'm in an abandoned hospital looking for a survival secret, and it's not medicine. That will all be gone. When Katrina struck, some of the city's hospitals and other healthcare resources were destroyed or inoperable. The number of patients who needed help far exceeded supplies and personnel. The situation became so desperate that within hours, pharmacies and clinics were looted and raided. Drugs and medicines were only available through a black market economy. But I'm looking for something the looters might have overlooked: a backup power generator.
Before you get power, you don't want to light this place up like a Christmas tree.
Switch all the fuses off. Lights in a building would be like a beacon in a pitch-black city, which could attract unwanted attention.
Now let's get down to the generator.
When the city's power grid fails, hospitals are one of the few places with backup emergency generators. It will automatically kick in using its own independent fuel supply. But with no one around to refuel it, the backup tank will eventually run dry. But that doesn't mean you can't get it started again.
The backup generator looks in good shape. Doesn't look like anyone's been tampering with it. All right, you see here, selector switch is on auto. That means when there's a power outage and the grid goes down, this generator kicks back on and takes up the slack. So if you can get some fuel and get it fired up, you can start making electricity and building a base.
Finding fuel won't be easy, but it's there if you know where to look, like in underground tanks at gas stations. Most generators run on diesel, which makes things easier.
Unleaded. When you're looking for fuel, diesel is going to be your best bet. This is it. In America, about 5% of the cars are diesel, so all the gasoline is going to be gone, but you can have a good chance of finding a little bit of diesel fuel.
With no power on at the pumps, extracting fuel could be tricky. I'm going to try using the bike pump I found.
When you attach your hose, make sure that your attachment points are taped well. You've got to have a good seal on this. So putting all this together, it basically turns into a huge syringe.
There's not much in the tank, but every drop will be precious, and you need to make sure you get all you can. And stay on the lookout for anything else you can use.
See that? It's a battery.
Car batteries can hold their charge for 12 to 18 months, but the beauty is they're rechargeable.
If we can get this battery recharged, it'll be a force multiplier.
A force multiplier is any factor that can increase your effectiveness.
Not a bad haul.
With a charged car battery, you'll have the potential to get a vehicle running, which will dramatically improve your circumstances. It may not be much fuel, but it should be enough to get the generator back up and running, at least for a short while.
Be as careful as you can. Remember, this is the most precious commodity. Fuel and power. Let's see if this works. Woo! You did it! All right, you got about 4 or 5 hours max to use to charge up batteries and to set up your base. So let's get going.
With the generator running, the car battery I found can now be charged.
All right.
And it's time to switch on the switches. The security office makes an ideal home base, with a bonus. With the power back on, the entrances can be monitored with a closed-circuit television. Now that we're safe, it's time to think again about food and water. Rain catchment on the roof is a great source of fresh water.
Your water's sterilized from boiling. And I know you gotta be hungry. Potluck's on the menu.
Without labels, you're just going to have to get used to eating whatever you can get a hold of.
Let's see what we got. Sweet corn. Tastes great. Cat food, green beans, or I don't know, some kind of potted meat. Let's see. All right. Vienna sausages. Kind of reminds me of my grade school lunches.
Right now, basic needs like food, water, and shelter are under control. But there's one thing that isn't.
Imagine yourself in this world. Just the weight of the loneliness. I think that would be crushing. When I was going through my POW school, I was on the run for a week. It was so hard, not just because I didn't have any food or any shelter, but because I was alone. And when I finally was captured and I was put in this little 2x2 concrete cell, I've been tortured a bit and beat up a bit. Actually, it really saved me because I could hear one of my fellow brothers tapping on the cell next to me. And that human contact and that sign that I was not alone, it gave me hope. I know if this really happened to me, I'd have to keep driving on till I found someone, till I made some contact. I'd have to have the dream that we could rebuild, that I could rebuild. And I know I couldn't do it on my own.
We're in a secure base in an empty hospital near city center. For the time being, survival basics are under control.
You've got power for your generator, plenty of fuel, electricity. You've got water, you've got food. But there's more to it than that. Without making contact with others, survival is pointless. I'd tell you what I'd want to do. I'd want to make contact by building a radio transmitter. I'd get to some high ground, make an antenna, and then I'd broadcast a signal. So we gotta think outside the box.
That means remembering what might have survived. Shortwave radio. That's going to be your best way of communicating after all else is gone. And there are places to find transmitters you wouldn't expect.
Checkered cab.
That's right, a taxi company. A taxi dispatch center could have just what we need. Remember to always move quickly and cautiously. It's more difficult to maintain an advantage in urban areas.
Bingo. This is what we're looking for. This taxi cab dispatch center has all the communication gear we need. Right here is a power source. This is a 12-volt dry cell battery. It's heavy, but it's worth its weight because unlike a wet cell, it'll hold a charge for a long time. All right, let's see what we got here. Tape recorder, good to go. CBs, radios. All right, we've got a loose one. Might be busted. Gotta check it. And bingo, we're in business. All right. Handset, transmitter, power source, tape recorder. This will come in handy. It's a step down. Probably came from a coffee maker. Here we go, here we go. This is a whip antenna. Got a nice magnet base. Coax looks good. If we want to transmit, this is essential.
To increase the range of the transmitter, we need to get to higher ground. Rooftops and fire escapes allow you to cross a city undetected, and if you encounter threatening groups, you'll have the upper hand and the means of escape at your control. Radio transmitters used by taxi companies are good on the ground for only a short distance. Getting to a higher, unobstructed point in the city will increase the distance by line of sight. The horizon from a 300-foot building will be about 25 miles. Before you can broadcast your message, you'll need to assemble your transmitting equipment.
And we're ready to build. All right, this is our CB transmitter. We're going to attach it to our main power source. It's 12-volt dry cell batteries. Tape it up, keep it neat, and this bad bear will last you. Let's fire this baby up.
You should select Channel 9. This is the channel monitored by the emergency services. If anyone will be listening, this is the channel that is most likely to be scanned.
All right, Channel 9. If you look around from way up here, this has got to be the tallest building in this city. We'll be able to shoot our message all the way to the horizon. That's about 26 miles out in any direction.
26 miles may not sound much, but the area you can cover with your transmission is over 2,000 square miles. With the aerial connected, we're ready to transmit.
All right, make sure everything's nice and tight.
Now, you have to record a message. This tape dictaphone is going to be ideal.
All right, the information you want to put on this is your name, your status, you're alone, and then what destination or where you're going to next. It's got to be a no-kidding terrain feature, a city, a town, a bridge, some specific intersection. Now, make sure that you get there a day prior, 24 hours, because you want to get there, settle into a hide site, observe the area, because if some people show up there, but they look shady, you don't want to meet with them. That'll give you a chance to stay away and eventually make your way on out of there. Any station, any station. This is Rudy Reyes. I'm alone and I'm on the move.
You must not give up or think that your message won't be heard.
I'll be there.
There is a story of hope amongst all the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. Even after the communications breakdown, with no cellular connections or internet, with satellite TV down, a small army of amateur radio enthusiasts came to the assistance of thousands of stranded victims. They were operating on the citizen band shortwave frequency. They were even able to assist the authorities with their rescue efforts.
Any station, any station. This is Rudy Reyes. I'm alone and I'm on the move.
With your message on loop, it's time to make your rendezvous.
I hope to see you there.
And for that, you're going to need a vehicle. I'm Rudy Reyes. I'm showing you how you can survive if Armageddon comes. We've made a rudimentary transmitter and left a message trying to reach other potential survivors.
This is Rudy Reyes.
Back at my base at the hospital, I can use the battery I've charged to get a car going. But if you want to keep it going, you're going to need a specific kind of car.
This new car, it's useless to you. With modern electronics, alarm systems, immobilization devices, we can't get it going. This one, no good. No good. No. Wait. This old girl's gonna work for us. It's got something different than all the other cars do. They run on gasoline, she runs on diesel. Diesel engines are also super tough, super reliable, very rugged. Matter of fact, so rugged, we could even make our own fuel for this girl. You got the battery in. Let's see if we can hotwire this baby. All right, we cut these two wires. We also have to cut the brown one. Brown one is the starter. Now we could try to work this from the other side in the engine, But you want to be as low profile as possible all the time. Expose them just a little bit more. Twist them together. And that's the sound of the power coming on. So we are just one step away from getting this girl up and running. Last but not least, stripping away this starter wire here. Touch them together. You hear that? We got wheels. You got a quarter tank of gas, and it's not going to last you long. But I know where you can get more. You've got your girl running, but now you got to keep her running. You have no gas stations you can go to, so you're going to have to look for your own fuel or make your own fuel. I'm on the lookout right now for some restaurants, a fast food joint, something like that, that's got, you know, a grease trap, basically a grease trap. From that grease trap, we can refine that down to some really field expedient fuel to keep your vehicle running. This is what we're looking for.
Extracting filthy grease from this trap isn't everyone's idea of a good time. But this stuff is going to be like gold to you.
All right, let's get into it. Let's see. I'm going to try to scrape off the top of this white muck and get that kind of clean looking, well, I mean relatively clean looking oil here. Yeah. This is the good stuff right here. No debris, it's pretty clear. This is what you want.
You could use the grease in your engine as it is, but it would soon clog if you allowed it to cool. To make it run smoother, you're going to have to cook down the grease and find a covert place to light your fire. The grease needs heating to thin it out. Once it's hot enough, skim off any solid material on the surface. To finish the process, you're going to need two chemicals that you can scavenge easily. They're found in drain cleaners you'd have under your sink and in your vehicle's antifreeze.
We've got our methanol, and we've got our lye. The methanol in antifreeze that you put in your gas tank, and then the lye you get in your basic household drain cleaner. Now, the ratios to this mixture for your field expedient biodiesel are 5 parts raw cooking fat, vegetable cooking fat, 1 part methanol. On this 1 part of methanol, you're going to take half a tablespoon in the methanol. Shake it up real good. If you were in a laboratory condition, then we'd have centrifuge or something like that so that the mixture would be perfect, all impurities would be out. Same thing with the raw material up here, but we don't have the luxury of time or equipment. What's most important is that we create fuel. Fuel is so valuable to us. Vehicles, they're going to get mucked up with this, this concoction, but they're going to run. They may run 50 miles, they may run 100 miles, 200 miles. But the fuel is more important than the vehicle. We can find these anywhere. Down the hatch. All right, half a tablespoon coming up. Like baking a cake, you just kind of guesstimate with a little bit of love. Looks good to me. Again, be careful, it's hot.
The methanol acts as a stabilizer, and the lye binds both the cooking oil and the methanol together. Allow the mixture to cool before pouring it into the tank.
All right, this is going to be our filter. Making sure it's going in there. About the most precious thing we have out here. We've got a full tank of gas. We're good for 100 miles, at least. How you survive after a disaster is up to you. Depends on what kind of person you are. Depends on what kind of world you find yourself in.
You could stay, eke out some kind of survival, but for me, I would want something more. I'd want to see what else is out here. More importantly, I would want to see who else is out here.